When a gruff human maintenance worker tosses his worn blanket to a freezing alien predator cub aboard Sector 9 station, he expects nothing more than a quiet shift. What he gets instead is an interstellar incident involving overprotective alien parents, station-wide panic, and a pack of deadly cubs who've decided this particular human smells like safety. As tensions escalate and species prejudices collide, one simple act of kindness threatens to either unite two warring races or spark the conflict everyone's been dreading. Sometimes the most dangerous thing in space isn't the vacuum outside, it's the warmth you show to someone who's never felt it before. The first time I saw Marcus Webb, he was elbow deep in a waste recycler, cursing in that peculiar human way that somehow made insults sound like poetry. I'd been stationed on Sector 9 for 3 cycles, long enough to recognize most species by their gait alone, but humans. They remained a fascinating anomaly, especially this one. Piece of junk, son of a malfunctioning no-good, recycled garbage compactor, Marcus muttered, his voice echoing through the lower maintenance deck. I should explain something. My name is Korvax, and I'm what you'd call a mid-level security officer for the Galactic Union. My species, the Threnodi, pride ourselves on observation. We see patterns where others see chaos. We notice details. And Marcus Webb, he was a walking contradiction wrapped in a stained grey jumpsuit. The incident happened on a Tuesday, or what humans call Tuesday. We don't really measure time that way, but Marcus insisted the maintenance logs use Earth terminology because, and I quote, I'm not learning 17 different calendar systems for a job that pays in protein paste and disappointment. The temperature regulators in Section D had malfunctioned again. 3rd time that month. The cold was brutal, dropping to levels that would crystallize most carbon-based life forms. Marcus had been called in at 0300 hours, because apparently cryo malfunctions don't respect sleep cycles. I was doing my rounds when I heard it. A sound that made my secondary heart skip, a whimper. High-pitched, desperate, utterly out of place in the sterile corridors of a space station. Following protocol, I activated my scanner. The readout made my blood run cold, which, considering we were already at sub-zero temperatures, was saying something. Velkryn cub, juvenile. Life signs critical. The Velkryn. Let me paint you a picture, without actually saying those forbidden words. The Velkryn are apex predators from Theta Secundus, 8 feet tall when fully grown, retractable claws that can slice through titanium, a jaw structure designed by evolution's cruelest architect. They'd been at war with the Union for 6 years before the recent ceasefire. Most stations still wouldn't allow them to dock. Sector 9 was one of the few neutral zones. And here was one of their cubs, barely the size of a human child, curled in a corner near the heating conduits, shaking so violently I could hear its teeth chattering from 15 feet away. I tapped my communicator. Command, this is Korvax. We have a situation in Section D, lower level. Static. The cold must have fried the relay nodes. Perfect. Just perfect. I approached slowly. The cub's eyes, massive and golden, tracked my movement. Even dying of hypothermia, the little thing had enough survival instinct to growl. A pitiful sound, really, like a broken motor trying to turn over. That's when Marcus rounded the corner, carrying a toolkit that had seen better decades and muttering about frozen pipes in the middle of space, as if regular pipes weren't bad enough. He stopped, stared, blinked twice. Well, he said slowly, that's new. Stay back, I warned. Velkryn juvenile. Extremely dangerous despite size. Marcus snorted. Actually snorted. Kid looks about 2 seconds from becoming a popsicle. Dangerous. Right. Before I could stop him, before I could cite 17 different protocols, before I could explain that this could restart an interstellar war, Marcus Webb did the most inexplicably human thing possible. He shrugged off his jacket. Then, moving with surprising gentleness for someone who normally handled equipment like he was mad at it, he approached the cub. The little Velkryn hissed, weak and desperate. Marcus didn't flinch. Easy there, tiny terror, he murmured. I'm not gonna hurt you. You're just cold, aren't you? Yeah, I know that feeling. He draped his jacket over the cub. It wasn't enough. The shaking continued. Marcus frowned, then started unwrapping something from around his neck. A scarf, I realized. Threadbare, faded blue, clearly ancient by human standards. He added it to the pile covering the cub. Still not enough. Without hesitation, Marcus pulled off his outer work shirt, leaving him in just a thin undershirt. He wrapped the cub completely, then did something that made my translator glitch because surely I was misunderstanding. He sat down next to the cub and pulled it into his lap. Marcus, I hissed. Are you insane? That thing could take your arm off. Could, Marcus agreed cheerfully. But won't. Too cold. Basic biology, Korvax. Everything needs warmth, even the scary stuff. The cub had stopped growling. Its massive eyes stared up at Marcus with something between confusion and desperate hope. Slowly, incrementally, it stopped shaking. The chattering ceased. And then, in a moment I'll remember until my last breath cycles out, the cub made a sound. Not a growl. Not a hiss. A purr. A God's damned purr. There we go, Marcus said softly, rubbing the cub's back through the layers of clothing. That's better, huh? Warmth. Second best invention, after coffee, and right before sarcasm. This is going to cause an incident, I said weakly. Probably. Marcus didn't sound concerned. But hey, at least it'll be a warm incident, unlike this frozen hellhole you call a maintenance sector. I tried the communicator again. Still dead. We were stuck down here until someone noticed the temperature system was fixed, which, knowing station efficiency, could be hours. Marcus seemed content to wait. The cub had tucked its head against his chest, completely relaxed now, breathing steady and deep. You know, Marcus said conversationally, back home we had a saying, you can judge a civilization by how it treats its most vulnerable. Doesn't matter if they're your species or not. Kid was cold. I had a blanket. Math ain't complicated. The Velkryn have killed thousands of Union members. And we've probably killed thousands of them. Wars like that. All teeth and anger. Marcus looked down at the sleeping cub. But this little guy, he didn't kill anyone. He's just a kid who wandered off and got stuck in a freezer. That's not politics. That's just sad. Footsteps echoed above us. Heavy ones. Multiple sets. My scanner lit up like a festival display. Adult Velkryn. 3 of them. Moving fast. Very fast. Marcus, I said quietly, we're about to have company. The parents? Most likely. Good, kid needs to get home. Marcus glanced at me. They're going to be scared. Aggressive. You should probably take cover. I'm not leaving you here. Marcus grinned. It was the kind of grin that probably got him in trouble regularly. Korvax, buddy. I appreciate that. But I've got the kid. They're not going to hurt me while I'm holding their baby. Probably. Probably? Like 70-30 odds. Maybe 60-40. Look, I'm not great at math, but I'm excellent at stupid decisions that somehow work out. The door to our section exploded inward. 3 Velkryn adults filled the doorway, and let me tell you, when I said they were 8 feet tall, I was being generous. These particular specimens looked closer to 9. All muscle and fury, their golden eyes blazing with the kind of parental terror that transcends species. The lead one, a female with intricate markings along her jaw, released a roar that rattled my teeth. My hand went to my stun weapon, standard protocol, but Marcus just sat there, calm as someone waiting for a transit shuttle, with their cub asleep in his lap. Hey there, Marcus said. Like he was greeting neighbors at a barbecue and not apex predators who could rip him apart before I could blink. You folks missing someone, because I found this little troublemaker freezing down here. And I've got to say, you might want to invest in one of those child leash things. Controversial, I know, but effective. The female's eyes locked onto the cub. Her massive chest heaved. The other 2, males by their build, moved to flank her, claws extended, ready to turn this maintenance corridor into a crime scene. Marcus, I whispered urgently, do not make jokes right now. I'm not joking. I'm using humor to diffuse a tense situation. It's a human thing. Very sophisticated. The female took a step forward, then another. Her nostrils flared, scenting the air. I could see her processing it all, the cub wrapped in human clothing, Marcus's arms around the tiny body, the gentle way he held their child like it was precious cargo. She spoke. The translator kicked in, her voice a low rumble. You have our son. I do, Marcus agreed. Found him shaking like a leaf in a hurricane. Your boy wandered into a broken temperature zone. Could have died. Would have died if I hadn't been here fixing the stupid heating system that this station refuses to upgrade despite 17 maintenance requests. I made a mental note that Marcus apparently filed complaints. Who knew? The second male growled something that my translator rendered as a creative threat involving Marcus's internal organs and their external relocation. Marcus, somehow, remained utterly unbothered. Look, I get it. You're scared. You're angry. Your kid went missing on a station where half the species still think you're monsters. That's terrifying. But Marcus looked down at the sleeping cub. Your son is fine. Cold. Yeah, scared out of his little mind. Absolutely. But alive and warming up nicely, thanks to one slightly used jacket, a vintage scarf, and what I'm pretty sure is the last shred of my dignity. The female crouched down, bringing herself closer to Marcus's level, her claws scraped against the metal floor, a sound designed by evolution to trigger every prey instinct in the Galactic catalog. Marcus didn't flinch. He just held her gaze, steady and calm. Why? She asked simply. Why what? Why'd I help? He was cold. I had warmth to share. Doesn't take a genius to figure out the moral calculus on that one. We are Velkryn. We have taken Union lives. You are Union. Marcus shrugged. I'm a janitor who fixes broken toilets and leaky pipes on a station that barely remembers I exist. The war doesn't pay my salary. The war doesn't keep my coffee maker running. And the war sure as hell doesn't make your kid any less cold. He paused. Besides, he's a kid. Kids don't get a vote in what stupid things adults do to each other. The silence stretched. I could hear my own breathing, loud in my ears. This was the moment. Either they'd see reason or we'd become a footnote in the incident report labeled Interspecies Conflict, Maintenance Sector, Casualties 2. The cub stirred, making a small sound, still asleep, but shifting closer to Marcus's warmth. Its tiny clawed hand, no bigger than Marcus's palm, gripped his shirt. The female's expression changed. I've studied enough xenobiology to recognize parental love across species lines. What I saw on her face, pure, undiluted relief. May I? She asked, extending her arms. Marcus nodded. Course. He's your boy. He stood slowly, careful not to wake the cub, and gently transferred the small bundle to his mother. She cradled him with a tenderness that contradicted every propaganda video the Union had ever produced about Velkryn's savagery. She looked at the clothing still wrapped around her son. These? Keep 'em. Kid needs them more than I do. The scarf's older than half the station anyway. About time it did something useful besides collecting dust in my locker. One of the males spoke up, his tone less hostile now. This creates obligation. Among our people, life debt is sacred. Marcus waved a hand dismissively. No debt, no obligation. I didn't do it for payment. I did it because letting a kid freeze to death wasn't an option. Basic decency. We've got it where I'm from. Usually. Sometimes. Look, humanity's a work in progress, but we've got the important stuff down. The female studied him for a long moment. Then she did something that made my translator skip again. She bowed, a full, formal bow. The two males followed suit. You honor us, Marcus Webb. The name will be remembered. The deed will be recorded. When the cold winds blow on Theta Secundus, we will speak of the human who gave warmth when there was none. Marcus looked uncomfortable, which was hilarious considering he'd been perfectly comfortable facing down 3 angry predators moments ago. Really not necessary. Just, maybe keep a closer eye on the little guy. These corridors are a maze, and maintenance sectors aren't exactly child-proofed. They left, moving with that peculiar grace large predators possess, the cub still sleeping peacefully in his mother's arms. The door sealed behind them. I released a breath I didn't know I'd been holding. That, I said slowly, was the single most reckless, idiotic, potentially war-starting thing I've ever witnessed. Marcus grinned. But it worked. By sheer luck and human stubbornness. Best kind of luck. I filed my report that night, kept it factual, didn't editorialize, but I made sure to note every detail, because I knew somehow this wasn't over. I was right. The next morning, I arrived for my shift to find a crowd gathered outside Marcus's quarters, station security, 3 supervisors, and what looked like half the maintenance crew. They were all staring at something. I pushed through and stopped dead. Outside Marcus's door, curled up in a neat pile like some kind of adorable nightmare, were 7 Velkryn cubs, all sleeping, all pressed against his doorway like it was the safest place in the galaxy. Marcus emerged, coffee in hand, stopped, stared, and sighed. "Of course," he muttered, "because my life wasn't weird enough." The cubs woke at his voice. 7 pairs of golden eyes lit up. They made that purring sound again, all in chorus, and surged toward him like a fuzzy, clawed tide. Marcus disappeared under a pile of alien predator children who apparently had decided he was their new favorite person. From somewhere in the pile I heard his muffled voice. "Korvax, little help?" I just laughed, because sometimes in the cold vacuum of space on a station balanced between war and peace, the universe has a sense of humor, and sometimes, just sometimes, that humor involves a grumpy human janitor becoming an accidental ambassador through nothing more complicated than basic kindness. The cubs didn't leave his door for 3 days. Their parents arrived eventually, embarrassed and apologetic, but Marcus just shrugged it off. He started carrying extra snacks, taught them basic station safety, became, against all logic and probability, the unofficial Velkryn cub watcher of Sector 9. The war didn't end because of Marcus Webb, but something shifted. Other stations noticed. Other species paid attention. And somewhere in the cold calculus of interstellar politics, someone realized that maybe, just maybe, if a janitor could bridge the gap with nothing but a worn blanket and genuine decency, the rest of us didn't have much excuse. But that's a story for another time. This one ends with Marcus, surrounded by 7 sleeping cubs, sipping terrible station coffee, and muttering about how his laundry bill was going to be astronomical. Typical human. Save a life. Change the galaxy. Complain about the paperwork.